Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video on the markets. Wanted to do a little bit of a preparation video for the next of the week for the next week, excuse me, and just in general the next 24 hours, which will probably be quite volatile. What you can see right now is that the volume for Bitcoin is actually still dropping down, but today in general has been very volatile. We'll take a brief look at that in a moment as well. But the volume for Bitcoin, I'm still a little bit sick, by the way, so excuse that. But the volume for Bitcoin is still very low. There's probably, even though like tools like this, just to give you a little bit of a tip, tools like this don't actually know where most of the liquidity is. All right, so it gives you a little bit of an indication that there is a lot of liquidity to the downside, and I think it's fair to say that there's quite a lot of liquidity to the downside here. But ultimately, we never know. I mean, exchanges don't give out that information. So this is all based on algorithms, based on previous liquidations, which we do have data on. But Bitcoin itself, I said that this morning as well, I think Bitcoin ultimately is still bullish. It's going to be very interesting to kind of see how the fundamentals open today. So most of the asset markets, such as the Russell 2000, the S&P and the Nasdaq, have been very bullish, and the dollar strength index has been a little bit bearish on Friday. If that continues to be that way into tomorrow as well, in the pre-market and then the US opening, that's obviously going to be very bullish, and that's going to confirm some sort of a continued bullish momentum into 69 and 70,000, because that is in general what I do expect. I think the fundamentals, if you think about the elections coming up, and in general the price action we've seen so far, which has been relatively healthy, except for that we've seen quite a lot of leverage come into the markets since Friday. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Price action itself has been relatively healthy. I think the fundamentals line up with this move as well. So I do think we can get that move into 70, maybe a little bit higher as well, but we'll see that tomorrow and next week. So that in general, excuse me, very annoying. But that in general I do expect. But like I said, due to the low volume right now, and the thinner order books, in combination with the amount of leverage we've built up, and the at least perceived liquidity to the downside, I am relatively not afraid, but I am cautious about some sort of a liquidity grab down, right? Because ultimately, like we can drop down as far as 66,600 and grab all the liquidity in that area. Which, if we can believe the liquidation heat map, there is quite a lot of liquidity in that area. Most of the liquidity is down there. But we can grab all of that and still be bullish, technically. All right, so that's just a massive opportunity to grab some liquidity levels here that I think is quite likely. All right, I'm not going to short Bitcoin or anything, but that's something I do think you need to be aware of. And then if you take a look at the Bitcoin dominance, which is still this high, that will probably mean that if Bitcoin does something like that, altcoins will absolutely suffer. All right. So be careful of that. I would not personally, and that's one of my rules, I personally don't open massive leverage positions on a Sunday. Spot positions I still think are fine, because I do expect higher highs here and continued bullish momentum. And maybe like leverage positions on some sort of a crypto that is less correlated to Bitcoin, I think is a possibility as well. But be careful for that, all right? And if you just know that, and if you avoid the high leverage, or if you avoid tight stops, and if you stick to spot or wider stops, I think you're fine. But yeah, so that's ultimately, I would say, if I would have to predict something on Bitcoin here, I would say it's something like this. But it's a little bit difficult to predict Bitcoin right now. And I've said this before, but I think it's better with Bitcoin being this high compared to the top of the range right here. I think it's better to focus on altcoins, and there's certainly, like every single day, there's opportunities on altcoins. Today it was ApeCoin, for example. I still think, like if you look at ApeCoin right here, I still think that there's an opportunity for a trade. But personally, I mean, if you see a coin move like this, just wait for it to settle down a bit before trading it. But if you look at something like Phantom, for example, I think that's still very bullish. And if we can get some sort of a breakout here, I think we can easily still rally into 90 cents. even with the uncertainty around Bitcoin. I think Litecoin is still very bullish, but I'm also long on Litecoin, so just be aware of that. If Dogecoin finds a strong support here between 13 and 12.5 cents, I think that's a great buy. Solana was strong this morning, is a little bit less strong right now, so maybe be careful with that. But you see some other coins, something like Near, something like Alt Layer is also interesting. Like most of these coins are just consolidating here, and I'm pretty sure that if we can get a breakout on them, so Alt Layer breakouts above 12.25 cents. What was the other coin I was talking about? Yeah, Near. So if Near gets a breakout above this level right here at 5.1, there's a ton of altcoins that look like that, and if they actually start to gain that momentum and they break out of the tight ranges which they're in, like regardless of what Bitcoin does, I still think in these circumstances they can rally. So keep your eyes on open for those. Like I said, I think Phantom and Near are good candidates. Maybe something like Celestia as well, with the unlocks coming up to get some sort of a short squeeze. That's a possibility. And today there were a lot of scam rallies, all right? So that is something I would be cautious for. So usually if you see a coin rally like 10% in one big spike, I'll show you some examples. Something like Magic, something like this, something like AP3, just one big massive spike up. Usually, like especially if you're a beginning trader, that's the trade to stay away from. All right, so be careful for that, especially on weekends when volatility like that is possible, and stick to the coins with a lot of volume, with at least some sort of fundamentals behind it, and then there's plenty of opportunities. Now I'll keep you updated on that tomorrow as well. Again, for now I think that's what you need to know. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care and bye.